On the 25th of February 1967 in Los Angeles, California, MLK Jr. gave a speech that opened the eyes of Americans and explained to them why we did not belong in Vietnam fighting a civil war that was not ours. He went beyond the number of dead or wounded soldiers and showed them how many casualties we had actually taken. One of the first casualties of the war in Vietnam was a charter of the United Nations and taking armed action against the Viet Cong in North Vietnam. The United States clearly violated the United Nations Charter, which provides in Chapter 1, Article 2, all members shall refrain in international relations from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state or in any other manner inconsistent with the purpose of the United Nations. The U.S. went against the rules and flat out broke them. MLK Jr. uses logic to show the average citizen that we should not be fighting there. It was not our fight, and we were only breaking the rules by being there. The second casualty of the war in Vietnam is the principle of self-determination. For entering a war that was little more than a domestic civil war, Americans ended up supporting a new form of colonialism covered up by certain necessities of complexity. Whether we realize it or not, our participation in the war in Vietnam is an ominous expression of our lack of sympathy for the oppressed. Our paranoid anti-communism, our failure to feel the ache and anguish of the have-nots. Today we are fighting an all-out war, undeclared by Congress. We have well over 300,000 American servicemen in that unhappy country. American planes are bombing the territory of another country, and we're committing atrocities equal to any perpetrated by the Viet Cong. We're no better than the Viet Cong. For every bad thing we do, we come right back and do the same. MLK Jr. just, again, uses logic and pathos to show we're not doing the right thing here. All we're doing is hurting ourselves and the Vietnamese more and more with every bullet we fire. Third casualty of the war in Vietnam is a great society. It is estimated that we spend $322,000 for each enemy we kill. All we spend in the so-called war on poverty in America, only about $53 for each person who classified as poor. Much of that $53 goes for salaries of people who aren't poor. We have escalated the war in Vietnam and de-escalated the skirmish against poverty. It challenges the imagination to contemplate what lives we could transform if we were to cease the killing. Once again, MLK shows logic here just to say that our priorities are way out of order. We should focus more on our own problems. If we had never started that war, we could stop so much of the poverty that was in our country at that time. It was not our war to fight. And if our civil rights were so far out of order, how are we supposed to fix someone else's war? If we spend that much money on other people's problems when our civil rights are wrecked, who says we're right? So let me ask you this. How can we be the good guys?